Well, that's the plugs for the draincocks finished. There's 4 of them. It was a fairly easy job, no problems. The only problem is in my eagerness to make these, instead of leaving them on either end of a piece of brass rod so I could hold them in the dividing edge so I could mill the flats on, I've parted them off. But it don't really matter. I've made up a simple jig. It's just a matter of inserting the plugs and tightening up in the vise, and then I'll just mill across a piece of flat brass bar, just drilled out and reamed with the cock reamer and slit it, and this, when it's held in the vise, I'll just grip it together, just nip it together I should say, and then I can just mill the small flats. I could I suppose file them really, but what I want to do is keep them all the same, because the links, I used a small brooch, homemade brooch, to broach a flat and half round, so I'd rather keep them that way. Filing could be might be a little bit hit and miss. I don't want to be messing about, so hopefully that should do, and that'll be the next job. Now what I've done now is to put my magnetic base on the side of the vise, and the bar which I made to all these plugs will just slide up against this stop which is on the magnetic base, so that each time I want to mill a flat it'll be in the same position by just butting up to this stop, to make sure that the vise is sufficiently tightened and to grip the plug. It should grip because it's been split and it's gone slightly through the bore to be the split on the other side, so it will grip it. And it's just a matter of taking a light cut now and make sure that it does fit on the link. Once I've got one set, it should be okay for the other 3. Now the depth of the flat equals the depth of the thread, the length of the thread. It's only a small amount to come off, and light cuts are only taken. That was a good guess. Tiny amount to come off there now. A little bit more and we should be there. I'll just check with an original plug and just measure the thickness, and that's 105, and we're just about there. Perhaps a couple of thou and that should do it. A wee bit more. And we'll just set the dial on the end of the machine and go to that same position each time. Still a little bit tight, but That could be a slight burr. Thread same. Let's just check the thread. It's a little bit larger as that thread, but that should do. And that we'll call that it for that one. Just a slight deburring, and that should do. If anything, slightly further, but that's okay. Yep. And that will suffice. Now just 3 more to do. Now just a slight deburring, and these should go on okay. Yeah, there we are. Of course the nut won't go on. Probably still a slight burr on the thread, but we'll soon rectify that. And that will do for that particular one. Just three more to deburr, and then we're good to go. Right, that's all the taper plugs lapped in now. They didn't need much lapping really, because the taper was very close. As I mentioned before, it's I like to lap them in. Ensures a good steam tight joint then. And the older ones are here, which, as you can see, are drilled, but I shall drill these now in situ. The mistake was that I drilled those separately. It was a bad mistake that. They just didn't synchronise, they didn't line up correctly. So now I'll get these mounted into the cylinders, and then line everything up, and then spot drill through. I shall find a suitable drill, and then we can drill, just make a small dimple, make sure they're tightened up, just a small dimple to guide the drill I'm going to use, which will drill straight through while these cocks are open, and then hopefully they should be okay. We'll see. Well, after a little bit of fettling, the plugs have gone in okay without any problem. These are the 2 new ones, and these are the old ones which I'm replacing. The next job I think will be I shall just lightly lap them in. I don't think it'll be really necessary, but it will ensure a good steam tight fit. So that will be the next job. Well, here we are again. I'm just about to have a go at lapping in these cock plugs, these drain cock plugs. Probably don't really need it, but I always like to lap them in, and it ensures a good steam tight fit. And what I'm going to use is some cerium oxide, and it's quite good stuff is this, and I'll just put a small amount on this this particular plug, this cock, and then just a matter of moving the body of the drain cock. It doesn't need a right lot, and just keep releasing it and moving it into a different position, and then just keep moving it backwards and forwards, and it should lap it in, and it won't really need much, and I can feel it actually starting to bind a little bit. So we'll get that out and just have a look. Move that away there. Yeah, and already it's beginning to lap, and I think that should be about it. A little bit more, and it really feels very, very smooth now, does that? That looks good. Yeah, that's even all over, and it should be the same in the bore. Now I do have some fluid here which will clean out the that should get rid of the oxide if I can get the thing out. Oh, proving a little bit awkward. Can't get it out. Well, I'll get my trusty these are very, very handy. That feels nice and smooth. Just a dab of this this cerium oxide. Incidentally, this is in oil. I've deleted it with I've mixed it with oil, I should say. Some very light there we go. It's just feeling nice and smooth again, although it was reasonably nice fit without prior to lapping. But as I say, I do like to lap tapers in. And that looks pretty reasonable. Just a tiny bit more. Right, 2 down and 2 more to go, and I'll do these 2 off camera. Now, after measuring the bores of these drain cocks, they weren't standard size. The original drill I used must have drilled quite a bit oversized, and I didn't have a drill handy which would fit nicely in the bore, so I could spot through onto the cocks. So what I've decided to do is to grind down an old drill I have, and just skim it over OD so it fits nicely into the drain cock body. I don't want
I don't want to be drilling through with a drill that's going to be wiggling about all over. It's probably well over the top is this, and not really necessary, but gives me an excuse to use my little grinder. What I'm going to do is skim over the OD till it fits nicely in the board of the drain cock, and then I'm going to grind a small pilot on the end, so I can then spot through onto the plug, onto the taper plug, when everything is assembled in on the cylinders, and I'll make sure everything's synchronized. All the links are all at the right angle, and then I shall just go through with a small drill, and hopefully everything should be lined up. As I mentioned earlier, this is probably well over the top, but it's just a bit of fun, and it gives me an excuse to use my little grinder again, which I haven't used for quite some time. It'll give you an idea how I do my pilot drills and sheet metal drills and various other drills. Well, I'm just now dressing the wheel, making sure it's square with everything. All the table is lined up. The little workhead's all been squared up. I'm just now using this small attachment to dress the wheel. I'm using my vacuum cleaner there, the Titan cleaner. Make sure all the dust is collected. Don't want dust flying all over the workshop. That's the last thing you want. It's just a simple rig, really. Is this? It needs finishing off. It's been like this for years, and I've been meaning to enclose it and just make it a little bit more presentable. But it's just finding time to do it, really. But I will eventually do it. And this is the little unit I have for controlling the workhead. Just very simple. It's a simple speed controller run off a 12-volt battery, and actually the motor is 18 volts, but this handles it quite well. I've got forward and reverse, and it's infinitely variable speed. Got this off of eBay, very cheap, and works quite well. This is a similar kind of thing to what's in here, but this one's a little bit bigger, and it's got a heat sink, which just helps to keep it a little bit cooler. There we see the inside of the box. Very simple, easy to wire up, and as I say, works quite well, and reasonably cheap. There's forward and reverse and off switch. Say 12 volt in and 12 volt out. Very simple device for the workhead. I'll just switch on, and I'll use the variable controller there to speed it up. And then stop it and go the opposite way.
And reverse.
It's so simple and effective. Now I'm just touching on and taking a light skim off. As I mentioned before, everything's lined up. The table's lined up and squared, and also the workhead itself, that's being clocked up and is square with the wheel. I'll just take a light skim off now and check the diameter and see if it will fit into the board of the drain cock. I'm aiming for a nice easy fit. I'm just now going to grind this small pilot on this drill. I'll just take it down to a small diameter. Diameter is not important. It's really just to make a small mark on the plug of the drain cock. It'll just make a small dimple, which will enable me then to drill through on my drill. Now the bore of the cock body is stepped. The larger portion of the drill only goes so far, and the rest of the distance is by the pilot. This is the actual size in which the water comes through when the drain cocks are open. It just goes enough now through to mark the plug. Well, I've got everything lined up now. The drain cocks are in the closed position, and the angle of the rod there, I've actually measured it with a protractor, and I've done the same measurement on the other side. I've set the lever on the other side exactly the same, so they're both perfectly synchronized, and it's just a matter now of spotting through with this drill, and that's approximately the open position. But we'll see. We'll just spot through and take it from there. And obviously, I won't really be able to test them out properly until I'm under steam. But I think it should be okay. I'm pretty confident that they'll be all set right. Now I'm just ready to spot through on the drain cocks onto the plugs. I've got the pilot to drill in my hand drill. I was going to use the Dremel, but the drill won't really fit, and I didn't really want to be messing about with that, so I'm just using my ordinary portable drill. Now I'm just going to spot through. I'm just going to make a small indent in the plug, and that should suffice really, and that'll be okay for me to put it in the drill, the main drill, and drill through them. I'm going to do the other side obviously, but I'll do that off camera. There's no point in repeating things, and that should suffice.
Now this is one of the plugs which I spotted through with the special drill I made, and I've just, as you can see, it's lightly spotted. Now I've already drilled through one of them, which is this one, and it's drilled through quite easily now, and it's perfectly lined up with this the body of this cock. So I've just 3 more to drill. Now the problem was when I made the original, when I first made them, I intended leaving them on a length of the rod, so that you know, a length of rod, so that both ends could be milled and finished and drilled. But in my eagerness, as I mentioned, I parted them off, so it's just not easy to hold these. So I've made a modified the milling jig. And what I've done really is just a simple modification. I've drilled a hole in the top, and then all I do is then just put the cock, the cock itself into the, as you can see, where the spot where I've spotted lines up with the hole there. Just nip it in the vise which clamps it together, and then drill through, and that does it okay. And as I say, I've already done it with this one, so I'll just get the other 3 drilled and reassembled.
I'm just now drilling through the plugs using this makeshift setup on this piece of square brass bar, just making sure that the plugs are central to the hole in the top, and then I'm just drilling down to where I spotted it with the the drill I made up. I'm afraid it's not a very good view, but you can just see the hole in the centre there.
As I mentioned before, I use cable instead of links to activate the draincocks. It's a simple way, and it saves a lot of messing about with links and bell cranks and God knows what, which either are inside the frame or outside the frame. And I find this a simple method, and it works very well. I've used it for years on different locos, and it's always been okay. A lot of people probably don't like this kind of arrangement, but I find it saves a lot of time, and it's a lot easier, and it does work smooth once you get everything lined up and clamped down. It's smooth. The advantage of using this tube, as I say, you can thread it almost anywhere around curves and corners, which this tube does. Now, this is at the footplate end, and there again you can see that it's clamped down, and it's very smooth. It does work right easy, and the cable slides in and out of the tube without hardly any friction. Of course, you've got to make sure it's greased. I have it greased and oiled, and it does help. But as you can see, it's just a simple clamp to hold the tube on a small base, and a simple lever arrangement, and it just curves round and goes down side of the frames on the inside there, and there's no support brackets of any kind. It's just the support on this end and down at the cylinder end, and as I say, it works quite well, and I've always used this method, and it's never given me any bother.
Well, I hope you found this rather long video of interest. It's just something a little bit different, something I needed to get sorted out with these draincocks. It's a little bit unorthodox really, and probably lots of other ways, a lot easier ways to do this. It might be of interest to anybody that's planning to modify their draincocks and linkages, etc. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching the video, and I'd like to wish you all a Happy New Year for 2024.